being in your 30s is not about having it all figured out. It is about understanding what is important. I am so happy that you are currently listening to my podcast, and I wanted to share something very exciting because right now I am actually recording in my car on screen for the first time, which is very exciting to me. So you can also actually watch this on YouTube. It is a new thing for me. I've never recorded a podcast with video, so I have to kind of like see if I like it. But I thought it would be really nice to start uploading more on YouTube. I do have some subscribers over there, but I'm also going to share more behind of the scenes or more behind the scenes vlogs so that I can actually really take you into my world. I'm very excited about this part of my life. You know, I'm 32, almost 33 right now. And, building her has become such an important part of my job. I created a beautiful community, but now I'm also excited to take that a step further by recording this podcast in English and on screen. But today I want to talk about what it's like navigating your early 30s, because when I was 28, 27, 28, 29, I think especially 29, and I think a lot of people, especially women, can relate. You start your Saturn return and you're like, I thought that would have had it all figured out. I thought that my life would be exactly what I pictured it to be when I was in my early 20s. And when I look at, young Josie, early 20 Josie, and I would tell her what my life would be like today, she would have probably thought that it would have looked a lot different. She would probably think that I would be married, I would be living in the US, that maybe even I had a baby, or that I was living on a beach with 20 dogs. I don't know. A lot differently. I still live in the Netherlands, and I recently found my love of my life. We're almost a year together, and I'm very happy about it. But I never thought that I would find love later in life. I mean, later, around my 31st. Because I was always a relationship girl, and I think a lot of women can relate to this. We think that, around our 30s, we have this whole life, that we planned for ourselves, and what if it doesn't happen that way? With that thought of not having it all together, not having the life that we wanted for ourselves, usually comes a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of resentment sometimes. And the sad thing about that is that guilt and shame and resentment and sometimes even being angry or disappointed with yourself, it's not going to give you the life that you do want. And you know what is going to give you the life that you do want? It's grace. It is space and time and loving energy and giving yourself the time and space to figure things out. And I think that our 20s are just for that. Our 20s are for making mistakes. Our 20s are for figuring things out. Our 20s are for, the chaos, the adventures, the traveling, trying different relationships, having different connections with people, doing things you never tried before. And I think that is all exciting. And I think a lot of people also think that once you turn 30, that all stops, and that is not true. But the biggest difference is that I think, for me at least, my 20s were for, figuring out what kind of people I liked, what kind of people I don't like, hobbies, passions, job choices. It is all for trying things. And I think 30s are more for creating stability, creating peace, creating routines, and creating I don't know, more of a peaceful life. And that sounds, if you're listening and you're 21, you probably think, oh my gosh, that sounds so boring. But actually, what that creates, that peace, that stability, those routines, they actually create space for the things that are important to us. And that's why in your 30s, it is important to have a sense of what is important and what really matters so that you can actually have more time for it. And I think that is such a beautiful way to look at it. And I think, that gave me really a lot of peace. And how many times did you think that something was going to happen in your life, or that you kind of felt like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and by the time that I turn 30, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to be married, I'm going to do this or that. But now, if you look back at things in your life, I once shared a quote that said, I am so incredibly grateful that I did not get the things that I thought that I wanted. I am so grateful that I did not get the things that I thought that I wanted. And that counts for so many things, for the job offer, for the relationship, for the move that you were going to make, for, I don't know, it could be anything, but I think we can all relate that sometimes we think that we want something and then something even better comes our way. Something else that I really learned in my 30s was how valuable, how precious time really is. And we should really know that time is very valuable. And I think something that changed for me when I turned 30 is that I realized that I don't want to make time anymore for people that feel draining to me, that feel like when I'm spending time with them, it kind of like wastes my time. I dated a lot in my 20s, and I think I realized that I had to like have such strong boundaries and create such high standards for me, because if I would give my time and day to everybody that just seemed like they had potential, I would have aged 10 more years probably by now. So I think it is very important to really, get to know yourself. And I think that is so important. I think so many people don't take the time to learn to know themselves because they spend so much time, just saying yes to things that are not for them. So I think what I really learned was to say yes less and say no more. And that really helped me to get where I am today and to really surround myself with people who are so loving and who share the same values and goals. And I feel like I have a really good set of people around me. I think it is very important to be selective with the people you spend time with, because I think there is a saying that you are one of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and I couldn't agree more. I think it is very important to have people around you that always think the best of you, but can also ground you and, give you realistic advice. I don't think that we should be friends with people who, have to tick every box, because I think there's friends who you can call for advice, and I think there's friends that you can call to have fun with. You don't have to have all the qualities in every friend you have. This is also a topic that I really want to talk about in another episode, but I think that trying things, exploring things, before you turn 30, but also, still in your 30s, I think it is important, because I know that confidence comes from experience, and we are sometimes so scared to show up and to look cringe or to make a fool of ourselves, but it is so important to try the things, because if you don't try, you never learn, and if you don't learn, you don't build the confidence you need to take bigger risks in your life. And if you are somebody listening right now and feel that you're made for bigger things, that you want a bigger life, and just know that you need to build that confidence, and it is so important. And the last thing that I want to say about becoming 30 is that you really have to release those timelines for yourself, because if you get so lost and stuck on that your life needs to look a certain way in your 30s, you are going to miss all the magic. And this is something that I had to realize when I turned 29, because that is when, like I felt the pressure and I felt like, oh my gosh, my life is not where it's supposed to be. And I was like, wow, you know what is actually fine, because I have so much more time and there are so many things that I learned from making quote unquote mistakes. If I always held on to that idea, I would have missed all the fun things, all the experience, all the adventures, all the, things that make life so beautiful. And I would have never wanted to miss those things, even if that meant feeling a little pressure when I turned 29. And I want you to really release those ideas. I want you to release those beliefs. I want you to release those timelines, because if you stay true to your authentic self, everything will align in the right way at the right time. And there are no right or wrong choices you can make. You have to kind of trust on that as well. I want to really thank you for listening or even watching this podcast. It is something that I'm very excited about. I'm so excited to share more of this and guiding you to your most beautiful life without the pressure and without the pressure, mostly, actually. So thank you so much for listening. Please let me know if you listened, if you liked it, send me a DM, and I can't wait for the next episode.